Just to talk briefly about the politics of this, particularly the left. The left, in my opinion, no friends of the Jews, haven't been for decades.
No.
And we're seeing that being played out now. For example, did Albo stop in Israel? He could have. No, he didn't. But I want to focus on, for example, James, we saw Michael Coutts-Trotter, Tanya Plibersek's husband, putting out a tweet.
He sent out a message to
his staff.
Tell us about this. And he said, just how terrible it was, what happened in Israel with Hamas and everything like that. And then he backtracked and he pulled it back and he said, "Oh no, we can't really."
That's obscene.
We don't want to inflame everything.
Utterly obscene.
And now we've got Ed Husick, the industries minister, who has come out again this morning on this network and come out and played the de-escalate card, which of course, when you say de-escalate, what you're saying is Hamas has a right to go and murder Israelis with impunity and then not get what's coming to them.
I'm going to be talking a little bit about this notion of a proportionate response and how utterly absurd that is and what that actually means. I'll do that in the next segment. But we saw politicians, elected members of parliament at this protest yesterday in Sydney, and we'll see them again in Melbourne. I think Adam Bandt is even speaking.
Adam Bandt is speaking. We had Jenny Long from the New South Wales Greens there yesterday. The Greens Party is just absolutely...
And I really do hope, you mentioned that the Jewish people are horrified by what they're seeing, the way that the violence against them is being minimised, rationalised, even defended in some instances. And I'm hearing from Jewish people who lean left who are shocked by the extent of it.
Well, Rita, you know because you sat in one of them. I can't tell you the number of times I've sat and spoken at Jewish events and said that, in my opinion, the modern left is poison to Israel and the Jews, and had horrified responses because in the past many Jews did naturally lean to the left, and there were many reasons for that, understandably. But the modern left is a different beast, and the reality is it all boils down to the Americans under Obama and Biden cozying up to Iran, the most evil regime on the planet. And Iran, every rocket it sends up says death to Israel, death to America on it. They don't hide what their agenda is, and we are now seeing that being played out.
Rowan, hide the agenda. I mean, I grew up in Iran. We were forced to chant death to America, death to Israel at primary school. When you start school during the assembly, this is part of the routine. The indoctrination starts at that age, and yet the Iranian people, this is one of the crazy things we're seeing. So we're seeing in Western nations that should be standing firmly with Israel, their people, their universities, places of learning, they're all anti-Israel. We've got these mass rallies happening in the West, from Sydney to London to New York. But in Iran, there was actually footage that's gone online in a soccer stadium where they tried to have a minute's silence for the Palestinian cause.
And they refused.
And the Iranian people made more noise than they've ever made in a soccer stadium.
Well, because the Iranians have...
Because they're sick of it. They are sick of funding the Sunni Islamist extremists of Hamas. They're sick of funding the Shia extremists of Hezbollah.
What the modern left has done under Biden and Obama. Iran should be destroyed. The Ayatollahs, that regime is pure evil. It needs to be destroyed.
It's
being propped up by Biden and Obama.
Of course it's being propped up. So, this all started under the Obama administration. As you quite correctly said, the problem that Joe Biden has now, he's created this complete monster. At the same time, he has destroyed American energy independence. He's allowed Iran to sell billions and billions of dollars of oil on the world market. This means now Iran has the whip hand over the U.S. economy. And as for Iranians chanting death to America, well, I mean, how is that different than what we see in the curriculums of some schools in the U.S. and Australia these days?
The only difference seems to be in Iran, it's the regime that's doing it, and the people are revolting against that. So it's shocking to me that people who have had this anti-American, anti-Israel indoctrination almost from birth, or at least for the last 40 years since the Islamic Revolution, they seem to be more sound and rational than our universities, both here in America, the UK.
Seriously, the coalition's got a lot of work to do when it wins the next election, which it must do, because the Albanese government is a joke. It's a disaster.